North Korea is a nation unlike any other, a land where mystery overshadows reality. It is a country sealed off from a modern world, guarded by secrecy and silence. Here, borders are not just physical, but psychological barriers to truth. What outsiders see is carefully staged, a theater of power and perfection. What lies beneath is hidden in shadows, protected by fear and control. To the world, it presents parades, monuments, and smiling citizens, but behind the curtain there exists hunger, oppression, and despair. The ruling Kim dynasty shapes every aspect of life with an iron grip, where loyalty is not a choice but a survival tactic. Speaking against a leader is unthinkable, a crime paid for with life. Propaganda flows endlessly, rewriting history and defining reality, while children grow up not with choices but with commands. Citizens march in unison not out of joy, but necessity, and the silence of the street speaks louder than any voice. Foreigners who enter see only what they are permitted to see, every step, and every glance watched and monitored. A society built on fear have perfected the art of secrecy, and yet whispers of resistance echo quietly in hidden corners. This is not just a country. It is the world's last closed kingdom, a place where the truth is dangerous and freedom is a dream. Welcome to North Korea, inside the world's most secret nation. North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is often described as the world's most secretive and isolated nation. Located in East Asia, bordered by China, Russia, and South Korea, this country has existed in near total seclusion since the Korean War armistice of 1953. While the modern world thrives on globalization, technology, and open communication, North Korea has chosen a path of strict control, surveillance, and propaganda. Its citizens live under a regime that carefully crafts their worldview, ensuring loyalty to the state and its leader. Visitors who manage to step inside the country are immediately struck by the silence, the uniformity, and the overwhelming sense of control. Streets appear immaculate, yet strangely empty, as if the daily life of citizens is hidden behind closed doors. Photography is tightly monitored, and every movement of foreigner is carefully guided by government minders. The contrast between the carefully staged image of prosperity and the underlying hardships is sharp and unsettling. North Korea is a country where truth is manufactured, where reality is sculpted by the state, and where the outside world is seen not as an opportunity, but as a threat. In this script, we journey through the layers of secrecy to understand what life is like inside this enigmatic nation. At the heart of North Korea's identity lies its ruling family, known as the Kim dynasty. Founded by Kim Il-sung, the country's eternal leader, the dynasty has remained in power for over 7 decades. His son, Kim Jong-il, carried forward the ideology of Juche, or self-reliance, further tightening the regime's control over society. Today, the nation is led by Kim Jong-un, whose image dominates every corner of the country. Giant portraits of the leaders hang in homes, offices, and schools, while statues and monuments celebrate their supposed achievements. The cult of personality is so deeply ingrained that speaking against a leader is unthinkable, punishable by imprisonment or even death. The ruling family is portrayed not as politicians, but as divine figures guiding the destiny of a nation. State media constantly broadcast stories of their wisdom, their sacrifices, and their heroic leadership. Citizens are required to show unwavering devotion, often bowing before statues and offering flowers to monuments. From birth, every North Korean is taught that the Kim family is a reason for their survival, security, and future. This absolute loyalty has become a central tool for the regime, ensuring power is passed seamlessly from one generation to the next. In this sense, North Korea is less a country and more a dynasty-driven cult state. Life for the average North Korean is marked by restrictions that few outsiders can truly comprehend. Every citizen belongs to a class system known as Songbun, which determines access to jobs, education, food, and even marriage prospects. Those with families loyal to the revolution are placed in higher classes, enjoying slightly better privileges, while those deemed disloyal suffer discrimination and hardships. Movement within the country is heavily controlled, with internal travel permits required to move between cities. Foreign media, from films to music to books, is banned, and possession of such materials can result in severe punishment. Internet access for the public is non-existent, with only a small domestic internet available, filled with government-approved content. Electricity is scarce outside the capital, Pyongyang, where the elite enjoys slightly better living conditions. For ordinary families, blackouts are common, food shortages persist, and healthcare is rudimentary. Despite this, the regime works hard to project images of happy citizens, marching in parades, participating in mass games, and showing loyalty to the state. Yet beneath the surface, the struggles of survival paint a darker reality, one where silence is the only form of safety. Pyongyang, the capital city, is often showcased as the face of North Korea. With wide boulevards, towering monuments, and modern-looking buildings, it appears to be a functioning, developed metropolis. However, this image is carefully curated for outsiders. Foreign visitors are only allowed to see selected parts of the city, with menders ensuring they do not stray off course. Hotels designed for foreigners are isolated, and tourists are prohibited from interacting freely with locals. The metro system, decorated with ornate chandeliers and murals glorifying the leadership, serves both as transport and propaganda showcase. Streets are noticeably devoid of the usual hustle seen in other Asian capitals. There are fewer cars, limited advertising, and a strange quietness. Even supermarkets and restaurants that visitors are taken to are often staged, with shelves stocked and customers planted for appearances. The showcase capital hides the truth of rural areas, where poverty and hunger are far more severe. While Pyongyang gives the illusion of progress, it is essentially a stage set for international perception, designed to mask the deep inequalities within the country. Propaganda is the lifeblood of North Korea. From childhood, citizens are fed a steady stream of state-approved narratives through schools, media, and community organizations. The stories emphasize the greatness of the Kim family, the evil of foreign powers, especially the United States and South Korea, and the strength of the nation's self-reliant system. Loudspeakers in villages and workplaces broadcast government announcements daily, while newspapers print only state-curated information. Art, literature, and music all serve the regime's message, reinforcing loyalty and discouraging independent thought. The infamous mass games, where thousands of performers move in perfect synchronization, are a powerful visual example of this propaganda, symbolizing unity and discipline. Even history itself is rewritten to glorify the regime's role, portraying the Kims as saviors against imperialism. This constant indoctrination leaves little room for dissent, as every citizen grows up surrounded by one version of truth. In such an environment, questioning the regime is not only dangerous but nearly impossible, as independent thinking is systematically erased. Beyond propaganda, fear is a crucial tool of control in North Korea. The country maintains an extensive network of secret police informants and labor camps. Citizens know they are constantly being watched, and even casual remarks can be reported. Punishments are severe, ranging from imprisonment to forced labor, and in many cases, entire families can be punished for the actions of one member, a practice known as guilt by association. Political prison camps, hidden from the outside world, are said to hold hundreds of thousands of inmates who endure brutal conditions. Defectors who have escaped describe starvation, torture, and forced confessions as common. The mere knowledge of these consequences ensures that most citizens comply with the regime's demands, choosing silence over rebellion. This climate of fear has created a society where trust is fragile, where neighbors may secretly spy on one another, and where survival depends on obedience. Unlike in most nations, where laws are designed to protect citizens, in North Korea, laws exist to protect the regime. Despite its isolation, North Korea has pursued an aggressive military strategy. The nation maintains one of the world's largest standing armies, with millions of soldiers under arms and millions more in reserve. Military parades showcasing missiles and tanks are common, intended to project strength both to the domestic population and to the international community. The development of nuclear weapons has been central to the regime's survival strategy, providing leverage in global negotiations. Sanctions imposed by the United Nations and other countries aim to weaken this military buildup, but the regime has found ways to continue its programs through smuggling, cyber theft, and secret deals. For ordinary citizens, this militarization means that much of the country's resources are diverted away from food, healthcare, and infrastructure, instead fueling the regime's obsession with defense. Soldiers are glorified as protectors of the nation, Yet many of them reportedly suffer from malnutrition themselves. North Korea's focus on the military has cemented its reputation as a fortress state, prioritizing survival through strength rather than openness. Food insecurity remains one of North Korea's greatest challenges. Famines in the 1990s killed hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, leaving deep scars that persist today. Despite the government's claims of self-reliance, the country continues to struggle with agricultural production. Limited arable land, outdated farming methods, and lack of modern equipment keep harvests low. International aid has occasionally been allowed in, but distribution is often controlled by the regime, favoring loyal regions and military units. For many families, meals consist of little more than corn, rice, or grass soup. Protein sources such as meat and fish are luxuries rarely seen. Malnutrition is widespread, particularly among children, stunting growth and leaving long-term health issues. Yet, the regime never publicly admits to food shortages, instead projecting images of abundance through staged agricultural displays. The contrast between the state's narrative and the people's reality reveals the depth of the regime's deception. Hunger had become a silent weapon of control, ensuring that citizens remain dependent on government rations and fearful of defying the system. Despite the secrecy, cracks in North Korea's isolation have appeared over the years. Smuggled USB drives containing South Korean dramas and foreign films have made their way into the country, offering glimpses of life beyond the border. For many North Koreans, seeing the wealth, freedom, and diversity of South Korean culture has been a shocking revelation. Black markets, known as Jaemidang, have emerged where citizens trade goods outside state control. These informal markets have become vital for survival, often supplying food and necessities that the government fails to provide. While risky, participation in such markets has grown, showing that even in the most controlled environments, people find ways to adapt. Defectors who escape to South Korea or other countries often become voices of the voiceless, sharing their experiences with the world. Their testimonies shed light on the resilience and courage of those living under oppression, and they remind us that behind the propaganda and secrecy are real human beings yearning for freedom. North Korea remains a country shrouded in mystery, its walls of secrecy shielding the world from its harsh realities. For the outside observer, it is both fascinating and disturbing, a land where time seems frozen, where leaders are worshipped like gods, and where survival depends on silence and conformity. The regime has mastered the art of control, weaving propaganda, fear, and militarization into a web that traps its people. Yet, history shows that no system of absolute control lasts forever. The cracks that appear through smuggled media, through underground markets, through brave defectors, suggest that change, while slow, is possible. The story of North Korea is not just one of oppression, but also one of resilience, of human spirit enduring against unimaginable odds. To truly understand this nation is to look beyond the parades and the monuments to see the daily struggles of its people. And as the world watches, the question remains, will North Korea continue its path of isolation, or will one day its secrets finally be revealed? On the morning of November 13th, 2017, a 24-year-old North Korean soldier is going to do his duty on the world's most dangerous border, and he has to stop at this checkpoint on the way to get his identity checked. But instead of stopping, he suddenly increases the speed of his tongue because today he is not going to work, but is trying to escape from North Korea. The soldiers present at the checkpoint alert the others, and they all move towards him rapidly to catch him. Meanwhile, the soldier gets out of his car and starts running towards the border. These soldiers cannot let him go alive from here while firing bullets. But despite being riddled with bullets, he jumps over the wall and dies there. After all, who is this North Korean soldier, and why does he want to escape from his country? But more important than knowing the answer to all these questions is to know whether he is still alive or not, and the wall for which he has risked his life is the border of North Korea and South Korea. The South Korean soldiers present on the other side of the DMZ border are trying to catch him. They were watching all this, but they could not help him in daylight. So in the darkness of the night, they moved towards him secretly. Despite being hit by 5 bullets and bleeding more than half of his body, the doctors saved him, but the South Korean doctor who was doing his surgery found something in his stomach which disturbed him because he had never seen anything like this in his entire life. Parasites more than 10 inches long. The secret of why and how they came in his stomach was also hidden in North Korea. The name of this soldier was Aung Song, who worked in the North Korean army, and his sudden escape from North Korea did not seem strange to anyone, because he was neither the first person to escape from North Korea nor the last. North Korea did not seem strange to anyone, because he was neither the first person to escape from North Korea nor the last. Every year, thousands of North Koreans escape from North Korea, but they cannot cross the DMZ like Oh Chong-song under any circumstances, because the DMZ is the world's most dangerous border which separates North Korea from its arch-enemy South Korea. A kilometer-wide and 250-kilometer-long buffer zone around which there are 20 lakh landmines, high-voltage electric fences, and they are protected by 20 lakh soldiers who are ready for war any second, and the most surprising thing is the name of this border, which means demilitarized. I will tell you the story of how they got divided into two parts, and were thirsty for each other's blood in a while. First, let me tell you that Oh Chong-song survived only because firstly he was a soldier and secondly he ran away from a special place of DMZ, joint security area where there are no landmines and electric fences, but for a common North Korean, crossing is like committing suicide. So they run towards China from Lu and Tumen on the other side of North Korea. Both Lu and Tumen rivers together form a 1,352 kilometers long border between China and North Korea, but crossing these rivers is also not easy because they can be crossed only when these rivers freeze in winters. North Koreans pay Chinese or South Korean agents who not only help them cross these rivers, but also help them cross the entire border. China then crosses Vietnam and Laos and reaches Thailand and Thailand, then sends them back to South Korea, where they can start a new life. But this journey is as difficult as it sounds easy, and it is becoming increasingly difficult for North Koreans to escape from here. The North Korean government has made the shoot-at-sides orders even more strict. Anyone seen trying to escape from North Korea will be shot on the spot, and now these soldiers are being given money and leave for killing a defector. The corpses lying in these rivers are proof that no one can escape from here, and even those who cross it by risking their lives. If caught in China, they are pushed into the dark world of sex trafficking, drug trade, online prostitution, and slavery. And if none of these works, then China sends them back to North Korea, where the defector is blown to pieces in front of hundreds of people. This thing is called public execution, where a criminal is tied to a tree or a piece of wood and then hanged till death. But bullets are fired, and even the small children are forced to watch all this, so that it gets imprinted in their minds that if you run away from here, then this will be your fate too. And if someone escapes all this and reaches South Korea, then his entire family in North Korea, along with his 3 generations, are sent to a labor camp. You might be ready for what happens there. Music? No. But why is it that despite knowing everything, these people want to escape from North Korea? And why is the North Korean government ready to do anything to stop them? What is going on in North Korea that people living here now love death more than life? Music. Prasa in North Korea, a world of 26 million people, which had become a pile of rubble in a war that took place 75 years ago, today has the 4th largest military in the world and is equipped with nuclear weapons that can destroy its biggest enemy, America. And the owner of this world is Kim Jong, who has been turned from a human being into a god by the power he inherited from his forefathers. And this false god has been ruling North Korea for the last 75 years, without whose will no one can come here or go from here. But today I will take you to that dark world of North Korea, where you will see the limits of human cruelty and cruelty being crossed, and you will know the story of North Korea and its 3 gods. Music. Prasa in North Korea, since years the sudden death of the second supreme leader Kim Jong-il shocked millions of people, and the eyes of these innocent children who loved their ruthless dictator were now on Kim Jong-il's son Kim Jong-il, who was only 27 years old then, and the responsibility of taking over this family rule that had been going on for years was now on his shoulders. But was he ready for it? This was a question of some powerful people in power, as well that how can a novice who has no experience of politics rule North Korea, and one of those powerful people was Jang Song take? Kim Jong-un's uncle, who was considered the second most powerful person in North Korea after Kim Jong-un. He was not in favor of Kim Jong-un becoming the leader after Kim Jong-il's death, but still he became his advisor and started staying with him always. But as they say, a Mayan Jang Song Take was suddenly arrested during the ongoing Central Committee of the Workers' Party, and 4 days later, an anti-aircraft bomber attacked him. He was blown to pieces with a GPU machine gun, and that too in front of his family. He was accused of treason, dishonesty, drugs, gambling, debauchery with women, and plotting against the North Korean leader. It is heard that Yoon Song-taek was conspiring with the Chinese president to remove Kim Jong-un from the throne, so that his elder brother Kim Jong-nam could be made the leader of North Korea. But whatever the truth is, Kim Jong-il killed his uncle brutally and killed more than 340 senior officials, and made it clear that no one can question me. And Kim Jong-nam was such an elder brother, who was a master, but he had the first right on the fate of North Korea. But 10 years ago, he was thrown out of North Korea on a minor mistake, because in 2001, he was arrested with a fake passport at the International Airport of Japan. He had no secret motive to go to Japan. He just wanted to take his family to Tokyo Disneyland. Kim Jong-nam being caught with fake passport, that too to go to Disneyland, was a matter of great shame for Kim family. After this, Kim Jong-nam started living in Macau. So your father is Mr. I tire, it's a very ridiculous question. Okay, sorry. Initially, he used to ignore the media's questions. But one day a reporter asked him if he was sad about not becoming the next leader of North Korea. The answer he gave put his life in danger. Kim Jong-nam not only spoke against this dictatorship that was being followed from generation to generation, he was also secretly informing the CIA about all the dark deeds of North Korea and Kim January, the person who could not tolerate anyone. How could he keep quiet about the conspiracies being hatched by his brother? On February 13th, 2017, Kim Jong-nam was murdered at Kuala Lumpur Airport in Malaysia. The method of murder was also very ruthless and unique because instead of bullet, a chemical was used, the world's most dangerous nerve agent made by humans. Even a drop of which goes into blood, the human flesh exerts so much pressure on the bones that they start breaking. The two girls who had applied this chemical on his face did not even know Kim Jong-nam, nor did they know that they had a baby lotion in their hands. Rather, they were told that this was a prank and this baby lotion had to be applied on the person's face. Kim Jong-nam tried to save himself after this attack, but he died before going to hospital when his body reached North Korea. The same people came to receive it who were present at the airport that day and had witnessed the massacre. Through such acts, Kim Jong wanted to show the world that this is the fate of anyone who goes against me and nobody could do anything about it. This smiling face, which seemed to be the hope for a bright future for North Korea, nobody had thought that he would turn out to be more cruel than his forefathers. This face might deceive you, but this is the worst form of that devil, which you have not seen completely. But there was a time when this devil was also a human being. Kim Jong-un was sent to Switzerland in his childhood, where he started studying in the International School of Bern. His friends tell us how he was intelligent and full of enthusiasm like other children who loved to play basketball, but nobody there knew that he was the son of a dictator. That world of Europe had a deep impact on Kim Jong. After all, he had seen very closely what a free country is like, and somewhere he started loving that world too. But one day, he had to face a lot of problems. The bitter truth is that he could not escape his fate. After taking power, Kim Jong-il brought about such changes in North Korea that the whole world was shocked. He started appearing with his wife, and nobody had done this before. He built theme parks, water parks, aquariums, basketball courts, shopping malls, and luxury ski resorts in North Korea that kept reminding him of his childhood, or he wanted to show people that I am not a dictator. I am a common man who understands the happiness and pain of humans. But the purpose of building all these things was not to revive childhood memories, but to keep in mind the teachings of his father. If you want to live forever, keep the rich happy and the poor quiet. And how does this happen? Let's see a little more closely. This is Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. Surrounded by colorful buildings and smiling faces, a world that looks completely opposite to the stories we've been hearing till date. The sky-touching buildings present here, electric buses, underground railway stations, parks, gyms, schools, hospitals, all are a life like this. He points towards a place where any common man would like to live. In a way, looking at the parades, games, and festivals held every year and the lots of people dancing in those festivals. It does not seem at all that there is something here that is forcing them to leave their own country. North Korea is an amazing country. There are no channels, no TV, and no internet. Music, action fun. Now, there's a small part where government officials, party members, diplomats, and only elite class people live. Forget about a poor person living in the city. He cannot even come here without the permission of Kim Jong-un. And North Korea spreads its propaganda to the whole world through the city. More than half of these tall, colorful buildings of Pyongyang are empty because there is no arrangement of electricity, water supply, and other common things of need inside them. And no matter how much a poor person tries, he cannot even step into these hollow buildings. Despite these barren buildings, recently Kim Jenny Pyongyang visited Pyongyang. 10,000 new houses have been built in Yang, and this was celebrated with great enthusiasm. You may think that Kim Jong-un has done this in vain, but this is also a well-thought-out move of Kim Jong-un. The purpose of these newly built houses is not to provide convenience to people, but to remember them through these buildings. I want to make you understand that I am the one who did everything for you. The class system that existed thousands of years ago still prevails in North Korea. The only difference is that here the class is not decided on the basis of caste, color, race, but on the basis of loyalty. The more loyal one is to the North Korean regime, the higher will be his class, and your class will decide where you will live, what you will work, what you will eat, what you will study, everything. I mean everything. And as far as loyalty is concerned, Kim Jong-un has deployed more than 3 lakh informers in the whole of North Korea who can arrest a person on the slightest suspicion without any proof or witness. It means that no one can trust anyone there, and the fear of getting caught all the time forces them to obey everything Kim Jong-un says. North Korea is a socialist and communist country, which means that here a person cannot become the owner of any property. If he is a businessman, he cannot decide the price of his goods. If he is a farmer, he has no right over his own crop. Whom will he sell to and from whom will he buy? Everything is decided by the North Korean government and the government of North Korea. The owner of all the land is only Kim Jong-un. No person living here can have different thoughts, religion, or hairstyle of their choice because they will have to choose from the hairstyles decided by the government. 15 types for boys and 18 types for girls. But Kim Jong cannot copy his hairstyle. And it will be better if I don't talk about religion because there is a church here, but the Bible is banned. Churches, etc., have been made just to fool the tourists. In fact, this is an ethnic country where following or spreading any religion is considered bad. But one good thing is that the North Korean government provides free housing, free medical care, and free education to its people. But you will know what is free in these 3, and to tell that you all are at our mercy. Statues and pictures of Kim Jong-il and Kim Sang have been installed in the entire country, and it is mandatory to put pictures of both of them in every house. And if the house ever catches fire, the children may burn, but the pictures should not. Because if this happens, he will think that I wish I had burnt myself. This is nothing. North Korea is a country where there is no internet. Forget about internet. People don't even have phones. And the elite class people who have phones can't make any international calls. It means that it is a completely isolated country cut off from the outside world. Its residents don't even know if humans ever went to the moon or not. If you tell them that there are dinosaurs outside in North Korea, they will believe it because they don't have any external information to confirm this. And Kim Jong takes advantage of this very well. I enter into you and the government of the DPR Korea for your forgiveness. Please, I have made the worst of my laugh. Many people go to see this mysterious world of North Korea. One of them was Otto Beer, a 21-year-old American boy who went to North Korea for a tour just 5 days, but he was arrested there. He was taken into custody, and despite his crying and begging, he was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. But due to the efforts of the U.S. government, he was freed after 17 months. But when he came back, he was in a coma. Many of his bones were broken. There were hundreds of wounds on his body, and his brain was completely damaged. He died 6 days after returning home. Do you know what his mistake was? He stole a poster from the hotel where he was staying, just for stealing a picture drawn on paper. He was tortured and killed. Think what would happen to the people living in that labor camp. After this, North Korea banned all Americans from coming to North Korea. But the people who went there before this can definitely give us a glimpse of this world. In 2013, a journalist, Ryan Duffy, went on a trip to North Korea with famous basketball players. He said that as soon as he stepped into North Korea, even his smallest actions were monitored. He was not allowed to do anything in the absence of the tour officer. He was not allowed to talk to North Koreans. Anyway, he was kept very well there, but every day he started seeing some things which were very strange, like he went to a supermarket where every food item was available, even Western food. This is strange because, first of all, there's a shortage of food in North Korea. Here, 2 out of every 10 children are victims of malnutrition, and people actually eat grass when they don't get food. And secondly, North Korea hates America, and it is incomprehensible to keep its products. These stores are made especially for tourists where you will not see any common North Korean buying things. You will just find a strange silence and selling. At night, when Ryan Duffy was going back to his hotel, he saw the shining buildings of Pyongyang, which were wrapped in colorful lights in the darkness of the night. He thought that maybe this is also a pretense, and why shouldn't it be so? There is a huge shortage of electricity in North Korea. Blackouts, i.e. load shedding, is a very common thing here. Load shedding or sudden power failure is a very common thing. This happens in many countries, but if you see North Korea from satellite at night, it seems as if the whole country is immersed in darkness. The next morning they were taken to a computer lab, which looked quite normal, but when they went closer, they saw that there was complete silence. A computer lab where no one was typing, no one was scrolling, no one was clicking. Everyone was just staring at those screens. But this did not happen only with them. Till date, whoever has gone to North Korea has said that Pyongyang has been created only for the luxury of the rich and to deceive the world. And the surprising thing is that the common North Korean does not even know how beautiful people live in their own country, where they get everything that they have never seen. Even their children get high-standard schools and an environment that a common North Korean child cannot even dream of. And how will they even know about this? What will they listen to? What will they see? What will they think? All this is controlled by the government. There are only 4 TV channels in North Korea, on which the 2,400 hours of love songs for the North Korean army, big nuclear missiles made by Kim Jong-un, and fake stories of his forefathers are told to the people. If anyone other than these TV channels and newspapers has seen anything coming from outside, music, praise, many North Koreans watch American and South Korean movies from smuggled flash drives from the Chinese border. This is very dangerous for Kim Jong, because if people come and know what the outside world is like, his own people will revolt. That is why the punishment for watching a foreign movie is public execution, or if you are unlucky, 15 years of hard labor. To give death penalty for such a small thing may seem crazy to us. But for Kim Jong, it is very important to do this, because he knows that the biggest dictator of the world was killed not by his enemies but by his own people, and he knows why, despite suffering so much oppression, they do not raise their voice, because they are made victims of a psychological weapon since childhood, which is brainwashing, communist flag, and socialist stories whose they have nothing to do with the truth. They are indoctrinated through songs, music, and they teach hatred against America to such an extent that you can imagine. This is not done only in schools, but the parents themselves fill their hearts with this hatred. When someone is so brainwashed from their mother's coke to death, how is it possible that he does not consider these devils as his God? Small children are also shown in schools that millions of children in America live hungry and thirsty in garbage heaps. They beg. They do not have clothes to wear. Look what a good life we have given you. Whereas all these things are about North Korea. And it is true that even today people die of hunger here or commit suicide when the pain and suffering crosses a limit. The North Korean government shows that there is no law and no theft in North Korea. Everyone lives happily here, as if this is a world of stories where there is no sorrow and trouble. This thing is shown to the people by distorting it in propaganda. And you have found this propagandist of yours. And yes, it is true that all North Koreans get free medical care. But think for yourself, what kind of medical care will be there in a country where there are no medicines like antibiotics and anesthesia to make unconscious during operations? German physician and human rights activist Norbert Wilson worked in North Korea from 1999 to 2001, where he was a part of a medical team. In the videos filmed during his work, he showed the painful conditions of the hospitals, which told the real face of free medical care. Pressure tables filled with blood, drips made of liquor bottles, and whatnot. You might think that this is a very old thing, but it is not so. Even today, North Korea is going through the same conditions that it was 25 years ago. In North Korea, no one can throw their human waste because there's a huge shortage of chemical fertilizers here, and these people have to collect their human waste so that they can give it to government. And if someone refuses to give it, he can get into big trouble. That is why people impersonate each other. They are forced to steal it so that they can fulfill the government's demand, and the government does not even come to collect it. They themselves carry their own waste on their shoulders in heavy vehicles and deposit it to the government. And because of using human waste as fertilizer, worms were formed in the stomach of that North Korean soldier Oh Chung-song. The question is not just about worms. Because of using human waste as fertilizer without cleaning it, many pathology labs, bacteria, and viruses cause diseases for humans, due to which they become victims of cholera, hepatitis A, neurovirus, and inner body infections. And this thing shows how bad the food situation is in North Korea. Due to violation of human rights, many countries of the world have imposed sanctions on North Korea. But instead of changing himself, Kim Jong-ho is targeting these countries with his nuclear weapons so that they stop questioning him out of fear. Despite the severe shortage of money in the country, Kim Jong-ho spends $1 billion every year on making nuclear weapons whose power is increasing day by day. In 2006, North Korea conducted its first underground nuclear test whose power was 1 kiloton, and after about 10 years, on September 3, 2017, North Korea made its first thermonuclear bomb, which is called hydrogen bomb, and its power was 300 kiloton. It is 15 times more powerful than the bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Not only this, North Korea is also rapidly making ballistic missiles to send bombs from far away. On July 4, 2017, North Korea tested its first intercontinental ballistic missile, Hwaseng-14, which had a range of 13,000 kilometers. This means that it has the power to fall on North Korea's biggest enemy, America's capital, Washington, D.C. After this, there was panic in the whole of America, but no matter how much America screams and shouts, it cannot stop Kim Jong-ho, and now Kim Jong-un is preparing these intercontinental ballistic missiles to carry more and more payload so that he can destroy everything in a single attack. After completely securing himself internationally, Kim Jong-un decided to meet his enemies, because now he will have to agree to whatever they say, and now no one knows what is going on in this devil's mind. This immense power of Kim Jong-un and North Korea divided into two worlds give rise to so many questions that how can an ordinary person control crores of people? How can it do that? And if we have to solve the puzzle of Kim Jong-un and North Korea, then we will have to meet the gods of this world, because only they can unveil the secrets of North Korea. There was a time when North Korea and South Korea used to be one, and this entire peninsula was ruled by the Joseon dynasty for the last 500 years, where people were living their lives peacefully. But now it was also going to be a victim of human greed and the lust for power, because the continuous corruption in the Joseon dynasty and the crumbling government system weakened its roots, and to take advantage of this weakness, big powers like China and Russia came who want to capture Korea somehow. But Japan defeated both these powers in the Sino-Japanese and Russo-Japanese wars and decided to take Korea under its control and signed the ULS Treaty in 1905 that now Japan will protect Korea and only Japan will have a right to decide its internal and external affairs. But despite all this, Korea was declared a separate country. It will be considered that Korea will be ruled only by the residents of this country. But Japan's promise to keep Korea safe from enemies and consider a separate country was nothing but a pretense, because from this day onwards Japan started spreading in the veins of Korea like a poison. It started increasing its army in Korea slowly and completely took control of the culture and governance system here. On August 22, 1910, Japan showed its true face and forcibly made Korea sign the Japan-Korea Annexation Treaty, and by making Korea a part of the Japanese Empire, completely destroyed its existence. In the oppressive rule of Japan, people were not allowed to practice their religion, culture, and speak their language. They were made slaves, their historical documents were burnt, their houses were occupied, the honor of their women was auctioned, and they were made to work day and night by tormenting them with hunger and thirst. This time was full of great sorrow and pain for Korean people, but this bad phase ended when Japan started World War II. In 1948, the Soviet Union surrendered completely to the United States and the Soviet Union, and both of them decided to divide Korea between themselves after taking away from Japan. There was no purpose behind this division. It was just a straight line drawn on a map, which was called the 38th parallel. It was a temporary decision that, according to their plan, after some time, these two parts would be merged together and the Koreans would be given their world back. But by 1948, the Soviet Union started ruling the north side of Korea and the United States on the south. In South Korea, the U.S. conducted elections to form a pro-American and capitalist government, and the South Koreans voted and elected Sang-man Rhee as their president and started the Republic of Korea. But the USSR was ruling the north, and in Stalin's eyes, there was a person who had the power to spread his pro-Soviet communist thinking in the entire North Korea, a 36-year-old anti-Japanese guerrilla fighter Kim Il-sung, who was a Korean, but after being in the Soviet army for many years, Stalin's communist views had completely dominated his mind. And just 2 years after becoming a leader, Kim Jong-un suddenly attacked South Korea on June 25, 1950, which led to war in the whole country. Kim Jong-un was the leader from the beginning. He wanted to capture the whole of Korea so that he could unite South and North Korea and rule over it. With the help of military weapons and tanks received from the Soviet Union, North Korea captured the whole of South Korea in a few weeks. But on the other side, UN forces also came to the field to help the U.S. Army fighting there, in which soldiers from 21 countries were present. All of them together started pushing North Korea backwards very fast. At the same time, the U.S. rained 2 lac bombs on North Korea. With this bombing, the whole of North Korea turned into a heap of rubble. Suddenly, China realized that the U.S. Army of South Korea was now approaching China. Before it could reach the Chinese border, China jumped into this war and pushed the U.S. UN forces back again. A human war that lasted for 9 years, in which 50 lakh people were killed. More than half of them were innocent Koreans who had nothing to do with this war. Today, that war ended at the same place from where it had started, 38 parallel, but no one gained anything. They were responsible for the death of all these people. It was Kim Il-sung whose greed took the lives of millions of innocent people. To stop this war, an arms agreement was signed between North and South Korea that for the time being no one would use any kind of weapon, and the demilitarized army of 30 years parallel would remain behind this zone. Kim Il-sung's dream of ruling the whole of North Korea was shattered, and at the same time the person on whose strength he was doing all this also died. Stalin's death was a very big blow for Kim Il-sung, but he was not going to back down under any circumstances, and to maintain his power, he created Juche. Juche was such an ideology which meant self-reliance. That is, now we do not need anyone's support. We will do everything ourselves. Neither will we help anyone, nor will we take help from anyone. This thing sounds very good to hear, but if seen on a large scale, it cannot run the world, and this isolation can destroy the whole country like a demon. But behind this isolation, Kim Il-sung's motive was to destroy the people, to make the country dependent on him, because the more the country gets cut off from the outside world, the easier it is to control the people living here. In the beginning, it was not that easy because there were some people who did not like this isolation, but Kim Il-sung built prison camps for them where they were killed after being tortured. There was no one to question the brutality of Kim Il-sung, and this is where dictatorship started. No one likes your leader to be a dictator, but if he becomes God, then there is no objection. It had been 18 years since Kim Il-sung had been ruling North Korea, and this dictatorship should remain forever. So he needed to prepare the next generation. The youngest of his 3 sons was Kim Jong-il, who was very intelligent and clever, and just like his father, he was considered to be the rightful heir to the throne of North Korea in the coming times. But there was another son, Kim Jong-il, who was very fond of making films, and he used to think about these things day and night. But how could a son from whom his father had no expectations become the next leader of North Korea? Kim Jong-il was ruling his country, but one thing was bothering him day and night, and he just wanted people to consider him the greatest person of this world, and this wish could only be fulfilled by a 25-year-old boy. One day, Kim Jong-il told his father that he will make such films for him that everyone would become crazy about him, and on this day, North Korean propaganda was born. After this, Kim Jong-il made such a propaganda movie named Sea of Blood, in which it was shown how Kim Jong-il's idol G saved a North Korean family from Japanese atrocities, and how dangerous it can be to give or take any kind of help to other countries. This movie touched his father's heart because he had found a way to turn his personality into a cult, but Kim Jong-il still did not like the movie he made, so he requested his father to let him watch movies from around the world, even those movies which were banned in the whole of North Korea. When Kim Jong-il saw movies like Hollywood, Bollywood, and Japanese, he also asked his father to watch movies from around the world. When he saw the movies of the industry, he understood what was lacking in his films, but there was no such thing in the whole of North Korea that could fill this gap. That is why Kim Jong-il kidnapped a famous South Korean actress and her ex-husband Shin Sang-ok. But what do they have that could complete Kim's incomplete films? That thing was talent. Kim Jong-il kept both of them in jail for the next 5 to 6 years, and when both of them were completely broken, he made them make 17 films in the next 3 years. After this, Kim Sang changed from a human to a god. Through these films, people started believing that how Kim Sang used to walk on rainbows to go from one mountain to another while fighting the Japanese enemies, used to cross rivers using leaves. When he used to hold a fruit, it would turn into a bomb. When he held sand, every particle of it would turn into rice. These stories had changed Kim Sang from a human to the great eternal leader. People now really started believing that Kim Sang was not a human, but a god. Kim Jong-il is God. He did a lot for his father, but there was no guarantee that people would consider him God too. He had to decide either he should do something for himself or remain forever dependent on his father. He would get lost in the darkness because he was neither attractive like his father, nor tall, nor handsome, and his voice was also very thin. So he often wore dark glasses and high-heel shoes to hide his shortcomings and spoke as little as possible, but these minor things were not going to help him in gaining the throne of North Korea. So he included himself in the false stories of his father, and it was easy to do so because in the media, books, songs, and schools present in the entire country, only that is shown and told what the Kim family wants. Kim Jong-il was born in a village in Russia, but it was written in the stories that he was born on the most sacred and holy mountain of North Korea, Mount Paektu. That day the sky burst and 2 shining beautiful rainbows started blooming in the sky. The dark nights of winter changed into bright days of spring. As soon as the stars shone in the sky, all the birds and humans of the world started singing songs, and the son of God, Kim Jong-il, was born, a son of God who started walking in 3 weeks and speaking in 8 weeks. Wrote 1,500 books at the age of 22, he never went to the bathroom since he was born. Maybe you laugh at this and think who would be such an idiot to believe such things, but let me tell you that even today North Koreans believe in all these stories. And it is not just any belief, they really believe that Kim Sung is a god and Kim Jong-il is the son of God. These childish stories were the biggest trick of Kim Jong-il to make it clear that the next right to rule North Korea should be given only to the son of that god. After waiting for years, the day came for which Kim Jong-il was waiting very impatiently. After ruling North Korea for 46 years, the great eternal leader, who claimed to be God, died of a simple heart attack that can happen to a normal human being. But the North Koreans were brainwashed to such an extent that his death was a big shock for them. Kim Jong-il asked people in the whole country to mourn for 10 days. Maybe you will be surprised to see him crying. If you think that all of them are acting, then you might be right, because here, the person who does not cry properly on the death of the leader is sentenced to death. Kim Jong-il's dream of ruling North Korea had been fulfilled, but soon this power was going to become a noose around his neck. The condition of the country started deteriorating from 1990 itself, and as soon as the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, North Korea was completely exposed because till now the Soviet Union was providing North Korea with everything from war weapon to medicines and food of common use. But when the Soviet Union was no more, the economy of North Korea started to tremble. In 1994, the condition became so bad that there was a famine in the whole country, and there was a severe shortage of food. The farmers who were growing crops by hook or crook, due to no help for them, those crops also started getting destroyed, but this was just the beginning. In the next 2 years, the tremendous floods and drought took away every grain of food from them. Children, old and young, everyone started dying of hunger. More than 100,000 people were swallowed, but the saddest thing was that Kim Jong-il did nothing to save them. It was not that he could not do anything, because many countries had extended their hands to support North Korea, but Juche Daolji, created by his father, took the lives of these innocent people. When the situation started going out of control, Kim Jong-il himself asked international countries to help, but by then it was too late. Despite the massacre of humanity in the country, Kim Jong-il spent more than $6 billion on the defense system of North Korea. The money which should have been used to save human lives was spent on weapons that kill humans. Even today, North Korea is spending billions of dollars every year on its nuclear program. But have you ever thought that a country which does not even have food to feed its people, from where does it get so much money? And the answer to this is Bureau 39, a criminal organization which was created by Kim Il-sung in 1974, and it is called Bureau 39. It is also called the heart of North Korea. Nobody knows who is in it and how they work. But every illegal work of the world happens under Bureau 39, in which fake notes, fake medicines, and fake copies of cigarettes are supplied across the world. From illegal weapons, drugs, slaves, and extinct animals, to converting black money of all international scams into white money and delivering it to the Kim family is the work of Bureau 39, which has spread such a web of international transactions that it is impossible to track. But the dark deeds of Bureau 39 do not end here only. This organization is also included in the world's most dangerous cybercrimes. Although there is no internet or smartphone in North Korea, but the world's most cunning cyber groups are also born here. They train their most capable students to become cyber criminals so that they can use them as a weapon. The name of North Korea's largest cyber group is Lazaro. It has made a profit of $100 million. The ransomware virus WannaCry, created by Lazaro in 2017, was the most dangerous in the history of the Internet. It hacked 3 lakh computer systems of 150 countries and manipulated for $1 billion. In 2016, a Bangladeshi bank was looted. In 2014, Sony Pictures was hacked and cryptocurrency worth billions of dollars was hacked. All these things are just what we see. No one can guess what else happens in Booth 39. But I definitely know that Kim Jong-ho has the power to do all those things through this criminal organization that no one can even think of. If we look carefully, we will find that their real power comes not from Bureau 39 and nuclear weapons, but from the system that these three have created together, a system in which even if the dictator dies, nobody can kill dictatorship, because even if someone kills Kim Jong-un, nothing will change. Only his sister Kim Yo-jong will come forward. And believe me, she is even more cruel than this, but if someone kills her too, then her daughter will come forward. This series is never going to stop, and this is the real power. The only fear is that this power, increasing day by day, may become the reason for World War III, because if this happens, then nothing will be left. North Korea remains a land of contradictions, where silence speaks louder than words. It is a country frozen in time, yet constantly in motion to protect its secrets. The ruling dynasty continues to shape reality, rewriting history with every passing year. Citizens live between loyalty and fear, survival and obedience. Hunger still gnaws at the weak, while monuments rise higher in the capital. Military parades roar through Pyongyang, masking the quiet suffering of villages far away. The people are taught to look up to their leaders, but rarely allowed to look beyond their borders. To the outside world, the nation presents unity, strength, and devotion. Yet behind closed doors, there are whispers of curiosity, questions, and defiance. Smuggled media, secret markets, and silent hopes begin to crack the wall of control. Every defector who escapes carries with him a piece of hidden truth. Every story told reveals a reality the regime cannot completely conceal. The world watches, waiting for the day when silence finally breaks. For now, North Korea endures mysterious and unyielding. It is a reminder of how power can imprison a nation, but not erase the human spirit. Change may not come today, or even tomorrow, but no wall of secrecy lasts forever. Behind the masks, there are real lives, real voices, and real dreams. And one day, the secrets of North Korea will no longer remain in the shadows.